In this lesson, we'll cover working with custom families. Looking at this 3D model, let's say we need to make a custom footing, such as the one that I'm highlighting right now, where it has a slope and an angle and fits within my step footings. How do you go about doing that? Well, let's take a look at this first. If I double click on this step footing, it will actually open the footing. Here, it's opening in the actual Revit file editor, and I could go through and modify this if I choose. But here within the family editor, I can see the different views and how this was made. For example, if I look at the reference level under floor plan, I can see some dimensions with reference lines that are dashed, and in a solid black line is the actual shape. Likewise, if I look at the front view in elevation, here's the actual shape that we drew as an extrusion, and it's referencing our reference lines. The information that you see with each dimension is a parameter. So in the upper left, if I click Family Types, I actually see here are my dimensional parameters and the values that I could change within the actual part itself. Click OK, and X out of this view to close it, X out of this, and X out of this to go back to our Revit file. Now, once in the Revit project, if you were to select the file, and if the dimensional values are instance values, you can actually modify them directly from the actual property box on the left. So I could change these here. If they were type values, you would see the type values in the drop-down with different dimensional data. We're going to create one that includes type values as well. So to do that, let's close everything currently in Revit. Now, to start a new project, we're going to create a new family file. You also can open the family file for this lesson that is blank. There's also a completed one for this lesson as well. To illustrate that, the family file for this lesson that is completed is the footing step complete. The one that is started but not complete is footing step. To start from scratch though, under Families, click New. Then you would pick a template to create a new family from. In this instance, we're going to pick the template Structural Foundation. Click Open. This basically creates a new family file with a few structural elements or reference lines. Now what I want to do next is actually start to create the different references for setup. To do this, we're simply going to offset the existing reference lines. So on the Create tab within the Family Editor in the Datum panel, click Reference Plane. Now, what I'm going to do is set my offset to, in this instance, 4 feet. Then, in the Draw panel, choose Pick Lines. So all I have to do is hover over the vertical reference line, and once I'm to the right of it a little bit, I'll offset a reference line to the right 4 feet. Go ahead and click. Now change the offset to 6 inches. Once again, hover over the line we just offset to the right, left-click, and you've offset that 6 inches. Let's change the offset again to 1 foot. This time, hover over the horizontal line so you can offset a line above it 1 foot, and then hover it over again so you can offset one down 1 foot. Now we're done offsetting reference lines for this view. Click Modify. Now let's place some dimensions next so these actual reference lines are a specific unit of measurement apart. So click Annotate, then click Aligned. Now the first dimension we'll put between the first 2 reference lines that we looked at. I'll click the vertical one on the left and click the middle one toward the right. And then place the dimension somewhere on your screen. Then start a new dimension, click that second vertical reference line and click the third one and place a dimension there. Now for the 3 horizontals, we're going to make a continuous dimension from one to the next to make them equal distance. So click the bottom horizontal line first, then the middle reference line, then the top reference line. Then move back over the dimensions and left-click to place. Now, before you go any farther, click EQ. EQ will ignore the dimension and space these 2 equal distance depending on the overall dimension. So, we need an overall dimension. To do that, start a new dimension by clicking the reference line on the bottom and then the one on the top. Move back over to the dimension and then left-click to place it. Here we have 2 feet. Click Modify. Now this sets up the reference lines and the dimensions What we need to do next is add parameters so the users can update the parameter value in the property box for these dimensions. To do that, let's start by clicking the 4-foot dimension that's horizontal. On the options bar on the ribbon to the right of label, click the drop-down. Choose Add Parameter. We're going to make a family parameter so it stays within this family. Shared can mean it could be shared with other family elements. For the parameter data name, you're going to type in footing length. Now the type on the right, we're going to set this to instance. Basically that means you can modify the value of this right in the properties area on the left. If it's type, you would be able to change or select a new type or create a new type to actually modify it. And we're going to group these under dimensions. Click OK. Now click on the 6-inch dimension. Once again, click the label drop-down, click Add Parameter, Family Parameter again. This parameter name is footing cover. And just like before, set this to instance and group under dimensions. Click OK. Now click the 2-foot dimension on the left. Once again, click the label drop-down, click Add Parameter, Family Parameter, give it the name footing width. Now this one will be a little different. We're going to leave this set to type. That means you'll be able to create different types of different widths. So you won't modify the width in the actual properties area on the left. You'll select a new type or create a new type and group it underneath dimensions. Click OK. Now, the next step is to actually create additional reference lines in another view. So let's look at the front view under elevations. So double click front. Here we're looking at something similar to what we had before. We have a reference level that's our base level, and then we have the other additional reference lines we created. But let's create one more reference line here by offsetting again. So go to the Create tab. All the way on the right, click Reference Plane. In the Draw area, choose Pick Lines, and then set the offset to 4 feet. Now, hover over the horizontal reference line and offset one up so it's 4 feet. Click Modify when done. Now let's add a dimension. Go to the Annotate tab, click Aligned, click the bottom horizontal line, and then the top horizontal line. Go back over the dimension and left-click to place it. Click Modify when done. Select the dimension again, click the label drop-down, and choose Add Parameter. This parameter name will be called Footing Height. It will be an instance parameter and group it under dimensions. Click OK. This lesson will continue in the next video, Working with Custom Families, Part 2.